Okay, we should be live now. Yeah, we are live, I think. If we are
Yeah.
live, somebody in the live chat, please tell us how our audio is so that I'm gonna load this myself on my phone. Who we have? Oh, we have Umaya and the live chat. We have Azad. We have Susanna. Hi, Susanna. Wow, Susanna is a patron on both Atheist Republic and Secular Jihadists. That's very thank you. That's very kind. Um, somebody that I can't pronounce their name. Arjun. Oh, so the audio is good. Ali,
I know, I'm muting it.
mute it. Mute
Relax.
it. Judy
We're
is here.
good.
Hi, Judy. Mars is here. Okay, great, fantastic.
All
Uh,
right,
everything is
everybody.
good. Everything is good and ready to go.
Okay, so my internet connection, it's still a month before Rogers comes and fixes it because they're waiting for the season so they can dig up the place, this neighborhood. But let me know if there's any glitches. All right.
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Secular Jihadists for a Muslim Enlightenment. My name is Ali Rizvi, and with me is Armin Navabi, who is never awkward when I ask him to say hi. Hi, Armin. How are you?
Hello. See, I can do
He
that too.
can't do it. He just can't, even when he tries.
I
And
did. This was the normal way to respond, wasn't it? No,
yeah,
it was
it's
good.
okay. You did well. You did well. You're getting better.
All right.
Today we actually do have. I know that I say this every time, but at this time I truly mean it. And I know I say that every time too, but we have a very special episode, and we have Erin Jones who's back with us. She was with us last month, and she had talked about her conversion to Islam after being a devout Christian for 35 years. So, Erin, just really quickly before you say hi, I'm going to reintroduce you to everybody.
Okay.
Erin was a devout Christian for about 35 years. She was a youth minister in the Assembly of God Church for 6 years. And then in 2019, last year, she converted to Islam. And that really upset her conservative religious parents. In her faith, she aligned with reformist Muslims like Majid Nawaz and Irshad Maji. Last time we spoke to her, Erin is also an autism advocate and an autism blogger and mental health advocate who also has high functioning autism. So when you came last time, it was actually one of our listeners actually said it was one of the best episodes they heard because it was just a very honest and very open account of your journey as a fundamentalist Christian. You converted to Islam. But now there's been a development, right? And that journey is it's ongoing. I'm pretty sure it's still.
I told you last
sure
time it was. I didn't think it was over. So.
Yeah, you did.
So. So yeah, if you haven't heard that episode, you should listen to it. It's a previous episode. But so, Erin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you guys?
Good.
Good.
Tell us what happened.
Yeah.
Do you want us? Yeah. We're just gonna jump in.
Just jump right in. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened since last time?
Okay, so if you watched the last episode, for anybody that did, there was obviously a lot of emotions. It was I didn't expect to come on your podcast and cry through the whole thing. That was a little bit of a shock. But after the podcast, I took it was like 3 days of, I felt like I was just staring out into space. Like, what just happened? Like it really, I was confused by the way that I responded to everything. So, and I don't like watching myself. I did not want to watch the episode, but I was like, no, I need to see this. I need to see what just went down that made me feel this way. So I sat there and watched it, and I cried through the whole watching it too. I'm crying there with myself. So, and something about watching the responses that I had, it hit me in a way that it didn't make me sad. It was like, what if my responses are upsetting me this much? Why do I not change my responses? This there's no reason if a life in God and religion is supposed to be that peaceful and that full of joy, then I shouldn't have that much turmoil in the answers that I give. So I really,
Which responses?
you know, I refused to watch it a second time. I'm trying to remember which which ones. I know the your questions about hell really bothered me. Having to say that, yes, I thought other people were going to hell. You were talking about you putting your child in the oven.
Right.
You used that analogy, and that was very hard for me to sit through and listen to. But even though I have questioned myself my entire teenage and adult life over my beliefs, it's one thing to internally question things. It's another thing to have someone approach them the way that you guys did, and for me to have to answer it, and then for me to watch my answers bother me that much. It was just really, it was very intense, and it was quite honestly the push that I needed to get real with myself about if things that I believe affect my heart and my emotions that much, is that how that's supposed to go? And so I just really got real and did a lot of searching about why was I defending something that caused that much pain. So the first thing I did, you guys had encouraged me to read your books, and Armin, yours is Why There's No God. So I was not wanting to jump into that first. That was too much. I wasn't going there first. So I was like, I can do the atheist.
It's like going straight to hell.
Right. Yeah. I'm not going there yet.
Putting a kid in the oven, reading Armin's book.
So I actually did them on audiobook. I listened to yours first, Ollie, and I didn't realize, we have two different religious backgrounds, but the questioning and the processes, what you went through resonated a lot with me. And it was just, I felt okay finally asking the questions that I hadn't asked. Even though I'd asked a whole lot of questions my entire life, I finally asked the ones that I was scared to ask. And I just, the first step was that I decided that the answers that were bothering me about Islam, because I had already left Christianity behind, the questions about Islam that I couldn't get answers to that were okay with me, the beating of the wives, the misogyny, the violence, the promoting death as something amazing. I couldn't push those under the rug anymore. I come from Christianity where we kind of are used to pushing things under the rug. We pick and choose a lot from the Bible as to what we want. And so I was kind of used to that sort of a lifestyle with religion anyway. But it was different with Islam because the way the world is now, you see, the deeper you get into Islam, you see what is really being done in the name of God. And I couldn't do it anymore. So the first step was to become an apostate. And
so you're an ex-Muslim.
Yes.
Well,
so I walked away
and
from
an
that.
ex-Christian.
So
an ex-Christian and an ex-Muslim.
Yeah. And that was really strange. I got a lot of questions about how like why would you jump around like that? And the only answer I could, because I had to answer it for myself too, because it really bothered me. And the best answer that I can come up with is that I was so addicted to Christianity and that lifestyle, and that's all that I knew. And it was like loving God was a drug, loving Jesus was a drug, and I had to have something to get off of that. I don't see how I would have just jumped straight into nothing. Something had to rip that Jesus Band-Aid off.
Yeah.
And that was Islam. And Islam, within the year of me studying, because I studied really hard. Like I put a lot into it. And the deeper I got, the scarier it got. And I couldn't come up with answers that I was okay with anymore.
Mm-hmm. So
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I don't know what to say. I think it's
I think jumping around is much better than people that stay their entire lives.
Yeah, I at least feel like I gave myself a chance to know. I don't regret my year in Islam. I feel like I learned so much, and you learning is never a bad thing. I didn't let it become such a part of my life that it ruined anything. There's issues with my parents and I, but that Islam didn't cause that. So that was just another thing. I mean,
one benefit is now you can join ex-Muslims of North America.
I did.
So you could go into the...
Yeah, so...
there's a huge community now that you could take advantage of.
Yeah. I'm finally learning about things that I've always been really open, but I'm letting myself learn about things that I was scared to learn about before, and I felt bad for learning about, because I've always loved learning, but I was taught, especially in school, with a very Christian slant to everything. Right. So I'm enjoying relearning life, and from a totally different perspective.
Yeah.
You're also your apostasy is not punishable by death, by the way. You were fine. You were fine by Islam before when you were Christian. That was allowed. But now.
Yeah, but
now you join the club. Now the three of us together, we could. If the Islamic State ever takes off, we could die together.
That's great. I have a question. You said that, and I'm not saying this to pit Armin's book and my book against each other, but I'm saying, so no, this is actually, it's a serious question. So there was my book is called The Atheist Muslim, and Armin's book is called Why There Is No God.
Yeah.
Both of us are atheists, and both of us both of the books talk about atheism. What was it that made you think that you were ready for the atheist Muslim, but not ready for Why There Is No God?
Because I was okay with giving up religion. I was not okay at that point in giving up God yet. I've never... God was always it, it didn't matter how I got to him, what religion I went through. I felt as long as I was serving him with my whole heart, then it didn't matter which route I went, as long as it was what I truly believed was the right way to do it. As long as I did it authentically. But I was not, I was okay with getting rid of Christianity or getting rid of Islam if that was the answer, but I wasn't quite ready to go, but maybe I should get rid of God. But then I got there too.
Did you?
Yeah.
So what is it? How doesn't that feel a little
No, wait. Before you tell us
disorienting?
before you tell us how it feels, tell us how you got there.
Well, it was just I can't tell you like any one particular moment. It was just this buildup of questions finally coming to a head, and then when I walked away from Islam too, I just started like I dove so hard into learning things that I had not learned about. I mean, I was studying religions, origins, and why people believe what they believe for as long as we've been believing. Like I couldn't sleep for like 3 days. Like I was just devouring everything I could find about God,
Right.
and why so many people believe in a God or gods. And it was about 2 weeks in, because I kept saying, oh, I'm a deist. Like I don't believe in religion, but I'm a deist. I do believe that something created us. And then the more I scienced, it was like, but maybe I had to step away from everything that I had been taught. It was like I had to look at everything and relearn everything from a whole different perspective. And once I got rid of looking at things through a Christian lens, it didn't make sense to believe that anymore.
Right. Yeah. And how does it? So yeah, the next question is, how does it feel? Because when you let go of, so I'll tell you a personal thing about me, and I wrote this in the book too. I kind of mentioned it that, when it comes to, I said, when it comes to religion and a personal God, I am an atheist through and through. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the idea of potentially a higher intelligence, right? And it could be, the laws of nature, the laws of physics. It could be, how everything is so fine tuned in the universe, and so many different things. When it comes to that, and I think about them, I am genuinely agnostic in the sense that I don't, I don't know. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. In terms of maybe there's. It does feel like sometimes that there is an intelligence out there that is much bigger than who we are. So in that sense, which is it's not even a deistic sense. It's just that a Spinoza, like the Spinoza type of God, that kind of thing. I am genuinely agnostic about, but it's just a personal God that
Ali,
answers
you're getting
prayers.
your terminology completely wrong. Okay, the Spinoza.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, the Spinoza God is not the deistic God. The Spinoza God is a pantheistic God.
I know. I'm not saying, that's what I'm saying. It's not deism. Right. I wasn't talking about deism. So I think it's not that.
But you're not agnostic towards the pantheistic God. The pantheistic God exists because it's just a relabeling of the things that we already know.
It's a relabeling.
So that's not something you're agnostic towards.
That's what I'm saying, Armin.
Okay.
Armin, that's exactly what I said. I said that it's not deistic.
Right.
It's not deistic because it's not about creating everything. It's just, whatever's out there. But
you're not agnostic towards that because that exists.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, go ahead.
So, but how does it? How do you feel at this point? Just sort of being, well, I guess, godless, quite literally, right?
Yeah, and today I say I'm agnostic. I just don't know, but I don't think there is a God. But I don't know. I'm open. I'm still open to any information. But how does it feel?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say one of the crises that people have after something like this is it's which I don't think applies to you, is a crisis of morality. Right? They feel that, I let the religion go now. How am I going to build up my sense of morality and conscience again? But you, based on the last episode and everything you said, it seemed like your inherent sense of morality was driving you a lot more than the second-hand sort of morality that you would get from these holy books.
Yeah, well, my morality was honestly what was driving me away from it all. When the answers about Christianity and Islam are violence and misogyny and homophobia, that's totally against everything that I stand for. And I was it was hell trying to mesh a religion that was totally against how I felt we should be treating people. Either religion was totally against how I felt we should be treating people. I feel like I was naive about Islam. Not my cat's going nuts over there again. Muslim people are incredibly peaceful as a majority. The ones that I've met, at least, they've been incredibly sweet people.
Yeah, they are. I mean, the vast majority of them.
Yeah, but they're normal. I let that be what I saw Islam as. I was very much duped as to how violent it actually gets. I did not realize until I got so deep, and I just couldn't line that up with my beliefs anymore.
But why wasn't it enough once you thought Islam is not correct? Okay, why wasn't deism enough? Why did you have to go the extra mile?
I didn't plan on it. Yeah, I didn't plan on it. It was just because I just kept reading and learning and talking and thinking, and I just really was searching out. It was like I'm not flip-flopping again. I want to know what's there. I want to know if this is real. I want to know the details, and I want to know the truth about the details. And
why did you want to know?
Well, from the beginning, you guys asked me why I wanted what it was that I really wanted, and that's all I wanted was the truth.
Right.
I just want the truth about all of it. I don't want to be wasting my life. I don't want to be wasting my life serving something that's not real.
Would you say you're an atheist right now?
I say that I'm agnostic, but yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You are an atheist?
Yeah.
Is this the first time you're saying it?
I've said it to my kids and my husband, but I don't think I said it to anybody else. Yeah.
Armin, let the process play through. I know Armin wants, he's so excited about
No, it's okay.
I mean,
I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you that I'm anything that I'm not. But right. Yes, I mean.
Can you say the phrase "I'm an atheist"?
You're awful. Yeah, I'm an atheist, Armin.
Okay. Oh my God, Armin.
I just needed that.
I feel more comfortable saying that I'm agnostic just because that gives the opinion of I don't really know, but this is what I think.
Yeah, Armin and I have slight disagreements about the use of the word atheist.
I'm an agnostic as well. I'm an agnostic atheist. I don't know if you know that they're not mutually exclusive.
I actually just heard that phrase in a podcast last week, and I was like, okay, I could say that. That feels comfortable.
So yeah, I wrote about it in my book.
Do you know what Gnostic means?
Gnostic.
Gnostic is the opposite. So Gnostic means that you are sure about it.
There's sure, and there's facts in it. There's facts
that you are sure that you're 100% about something, right?
Okay.
So I would say that I'm a Gnostic atheist towards the God of the Bible and the God of the Quran, right? Because they're just self-contradictory, so they don't exist. But I'm an agnostic atheist towards the deistic God, because they just define that God in a way that is impossible to disprove. You cannot disprove it, but they also
Right.
haven't proved it. So it's just as likely as anything else that I could just come up with that you cannot disprove. So, I mean, you cannot. It's impossible to claim that the deistic God doesn't exist because there's no way. It's created. It's defined in a way that you are not able to disprove it, right? And there's
Yeah.
many examples for that, like Carl Sagan's invisible dragon, Russell's teapot. You cannot disprove those either. Doesn't mean that they exist. But anyways, I
Yeah.
don't want to get into
Yeah.
atheism 101 here, but I just want to make the point that you could be comfortable with agnostic and atheist at the same time.
Right.
Yeah. And they also answer different questions. So if I
Right.
ask you, do you know that there's a God? Almost every atheist out there will say, no, I don't know. They'll say I'm agnostic. But then if you ask them, do you believe in God? Then a lot of them will say no, which is what makes them an atheist. So one is about knowing, agnosticism or Gnosticism, and the other is about believing, which is atheism or theism. So,
Right.
that's a distinction. That's why it's completely possible to be an agnostic atheist, where you don't believe in God, but you can't say for sure. So there's and that goes with the whole just overall being skeptical and critical thinking and not being definitive about anything. But I mean, all of that technical stuff aside, how are you doing so far? Like, do you feel because people can feel lost, people can feel liberated, they can feel depressed. Where are you right now?
I feel pretty fantastic. I am the same exact person. As far as how I live my life, I'm trying to get out of my bubble more in my shell and actually because of autism and having autistic kids, we can tend to be hermits. And so I'm like, if this is the only life I've got, I've got to force myself to get out of my bubble some more. So I'm okay. I'm not sad. Like it's a relief.
How is it a
because
relief?
Because I couldn't ever be okay with religion and the way my morals were lining up. I could not, no matter what branch of Christianity I tried, no matter, there was no way that I could be okay with my morals and the way I felt like I should live life and line it up with what I was being taught and learning about religion and God. It was stressful. It was constant. Am I doing this right? Am I doing enough? It wasn't this joy of I'm going to go to heaven. It's how do I avoid hell? It was constant worry rather than this bliss that we're supposed to be living in. And that's not how it felt at all. So for me to walk away and to say, no, this isn't running my life anymore, it felt pretty fantastic. It still feels pretty fantastic.
But last when you came on the show, how long ago was that? You
It
mentioned
was a month, I think.
a month ago.
A little more of a month.
Remember, you mentioned that if you lose God, you will be devastated,
Mm-hmm.
and
I sure thought I would be.
and you're gonna need a long time to be able to be okay. But now,
Yep.
but it seemed like it took you less than a month to be okay after you lost
It
God.
was immediate when I said it was like something just clicked. And I knew once I hit that point, there wasn't going to be any turning back. And the fact that I was not upset about it was quite a shock, but it was a nice shock.
Right.
It was quite the relief that I'm going to be okay. Like I think I'd actually I told one of you guys that like the day after it happened. We had, well, for like 2 weeks, all we had was rain, and it was just awful here. There was no sunshine. And then the day after I become agnostic, we wake up and like the sun shining through the windows across the bed, and like it's just beautiful. I'm like, what is this? Life without religion is gorgeous.
Atheist miracle. But do you suspect that most I mean, I'm not sure most, but a lot of people that say that they would be devastated without God, or that they can't continue their lives without God, and that's unimaginable. Do you suspect a lot of them, they're just overestimating how much they need God, and if they actually lose God, most of them are going to be just fine?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're a devout, it's your entire life. You don't know how else you would be okay. You don't know. That's
Yeah,
all you know. You don't.
but I met a lot of people that said that they don't know how they're going to be okay, and a lot of them that a lot of them that became atheists. It took them a week, some of them even less, to get over it. Like, I know a lot of people that say, like, how could I even continue breathing and going through life knowing there's no God? Like, this is all I know. This is all I live for. And when they lost their God and became atheists, all the ones actually that I know, all the ones that I know that said that before they became an atheist, they were fine. Like, maximum that I know of was a week of devastation.
Well, religion is kind of cruel, and the more devout you are, the more it runs your life, and it runs you into the ground, and it emotionally beats you up. And to walk away from that and to realize that you're not going to fall apart, that first time that something crazy happens and you don't fall apart about it, it's like, I'm going to make it without religion.
It's very much like the abusive boyfriend that keeps telling you that you're nothing without me, that you can't, that you will not be able to live without me.
Sure.
I do everything for you. You won't survive out there. And then as soon as you break free, you're like, this is much better, actually. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean,
I think you nailed it. Yeah. Sorry, I think you nailed it when you said addiction. You said that you were addicted to Christianity, because that is kind of what happens. You're addicted to Christianity.
I had said that Islam was my methadone. Like, it got me off. Yeah.
I was just thinking that. I was like, it's like the methadone, or it's like, when you quit smoking, you go to vaping for a little while, and then But it is. It's tough, but once you actually get out there, you realize, oh, okay, there's a whole world out there I had no idea was out there. The one question I had is that you said that your parents were sort of religious, conservative Christians, evangelicals, right? So yeah, I had to ask this question. So I don't know if they know about your journey so far or how much you've talked to them about it, but you first converted from Christianity to Islam, and now from Islam, you're going to atheism.
Yeah.
Which one do you think they'll be more comfortable with? Islam, you being a Muslim, or you being an atheist?
Good question.
I think I've thought about this, and I think probably this, because they feel probably that they could get me back out of nothing's grasp easier than they could get me out of Islam's grasp. That's what I think.
Okay. So they're approaching it from the sense of,
I think they probably think I'm going to come full circle. That's probably what they think. Mm-hmm.
If you do end up going full circle, come back and tell us.
Shut your mouth. No.
It is. It's the thing is that there are people who become atheists and then they go back and all that, but a lot of times it's the process that they go through, and the process that you've gone through. It seems like you really, really dissected and went through everything very, very consciously, very deliberately. You studied everything. You used your own sort of sense of judgment and discretion, and that's what brought you here. So it sort of feels like I don't think this is going to go back. It feels like it's just going to go
No.
forward from here.
But
Yeah.
honestly,
And there is a whole
but
world to discover.
there's no shame in considering it. Like I consider myself one of the most militant atheists out there, and I sometimes sit down and just think like, hey, what if I'm being the idiot here? What if like everyone's right and there is a God? Like I sometimes try to clean the slate, like wipe like
I
my
think it's really
yeah
I think it's really wise to do that. I mean, we have to stay open to things. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, some of my friends are very hurt by this and they're scared, and I just had to tell them, I can't lie to make you feel better. This is what it is, and I can't unknow what I know now. I can't unlearn what I've learned.
right.
But what I can tell you is that I'm open, and if there's a God that truly loves me and wants me to know him, then I'm here for him to find me and tell me.
Right.
Yeah,
What?
this is the question. I think I get asked a lot. They're like, well, you don't. Why don't you take Pascal's wager? Why don't you just follow the religion? What if you die and Islam turns out to be real, or something to Christianity turns out to be real? And I was telling them, they're like, are you going to go to hell? And I'm like, if there is a heaven and hell, I am 100% confident I'm going to heaven. I know it, because if this God is supposed to be most supreme, smarter than everybody else, more benefit, more sort of compassionate than everybody else, and in ways we can't imagine, there's no way he's throwing me in a dungeon with Hitler and all the child
Right,
molesters. This is
right.
not happening. Like, he's got to be
Yeah.
smarter than I am. He can't be dumber than me.
That's not my answer to Pascal's wager, but I don't want to do this here. Read my book. I already responded to that, to Pascal's wager.
No, I know I know the answer to Pascal's wager. I'm just saying that's my thing. I
I
just
just think like
don't.
there's no guarantee
There's
that you.
no fear that if it all turns out to be true, and I'm suddenly out there and God's in front of me, and God be like, "Hey, listen, I sent you a bunch of books." I'm like, "Why the fuck didn't you tell me yourself?"
Right.
Okay, but what
I just
when you say when,
I told okay.
no, you go ahead.
I told somebody the other day, I said, everything that I've gone through to try to find out the truth, every step that I have made my entire life has been rooted in serving God. And if everything that I have done is not enough for him, then F it. I mean, I can't do anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. When you
Yeah.
say you can't unlearn the things you learned, what is the main, if there is any main things that you learned that made you lose faith in God?
It was scientific facts that relearning some scientific facts that I had been taught through Christian schools. And it wasn't that I believed everything but that they had told me. I knew that creationism was quite the stretch. I mean, but I really needed to sit down as an adult and look back through all of this again for myself. Not have somebody telling me what they think it is or their opinion or what they read. I just had to get in it myself. And then also just studying some of the history of religions. And it was like, good grief, they all just repeat the same stinking story over and over and over again. And they're all changing it. And I felt so freaking stupid. I was like, all this information has been here this whole time. And I believe this crap. Like, I just felt so stupid.
Well, you and most of the planet, so don't feel stupid. What's surprising to me, like you're just saying, like this information is there, right? So
Yeah.
When you say like you feel stupid, you're one of the minority of the people that actually looked it up and figured it out. So you are one of the very few people, small percentage of the planet that isn't stupid. Actually, what's interesting is how is so many people, the vast majority of the planet, this information is readily available, and they still haven't figured it out.
Yeah.
That is weird.
Well, I mean, and the reason why it took me 40 years to figure it out is because when you start indoctrinating children
Yeah.
the way that I was indoctrinated, you're terrified to learn anything else. You're terrified to walk away from it.
Right. You
So
mentioned.
it takes a lot of strength to walk away, and because even allowing yourself to think for a minute that what you've learned might not be true,
Right.
it feels like turning your back on God.
I know some of our patrons are gonna hate me for asking this, but you made a post about this, so this is not me. This is you already mentioning it, and I'm just asking you about it. You mentioned something about Islamic because when you became a Muslim, you believed in the reformists like Majid Nawaz and that kind of version of Islam.
Yeah, that was where I was having to land to feel comfortable
Right.
staying.
But you recently posted something about Islamic reform, which I loved. Do you
What did
want
I say? Which
to?
which one? What did I say?
So what I don't
I'm trying to
remember
remember.
word by word, but what are
Read
your
it out, Armin.
well, I don't have it with me. I should have had it with me. But what are your views on Islamic reform? I'll try to find it. I'll go to your Facebook.
I'm almost remember. Oh, I know what I know what it was.
Okay.
Okay, I can't remember exactly what I said, but basically, I don't think that there's any way that reform of Christianity or Islam, none of that. It's noble that they want to do that, but if read the Quran, read the Bible. Fundamentalists are the only ones that are going to make it to heaven.
Right.
Reformers are. That's not how it's laid out.
Right.
Yeah,
It's a noble cause that they want to hang on, but I mean it's pointless too.
Right.
yeah. I think that the whole idea with reform is that there are in religious parlance there are many synonyms for it. Heresy, right? It's a synonym. So people are heretics. It means the same thing. Introducing innovation into religion, by reinterpreting it. So heresy, blasphemy, like all of these things are. Anytime you challenge the word of God, that's how it happens. So I mean, so reform is just it'll work on the people you don't really need it to work on, who are already
Right.
there. But
Right.
on the people who know their stuff, who know the language, who have read the scripture, or familiar with it, in my experience, most of the time they just laugh at it. Like, what are you doing?
It will make Muslims that are already peaceful some feeling that okay, we're on the right side. The people that were already
Right.
right. But
Right.
I
It's
actually
just
it doesn't
where you
even do
have
that.
to.
Yeah. But go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I hate to say I respected it so much and even tried to follow it so much that I hate to say that it's pointless, but it is a pointless endeavor.
Why do you think it's
That's what
pointless?
I feel.
Yeah.
That it's a pointless endeavor.
So why do you think it's pointless? Why does it not?
Well, if what they believe is true, if they believe the Quran, if they believe the Bible, reforming it is not going to get you there.
Right.
That doesn't work. You're either all in and you're not.
Right. You either follow God's words or you don't.
Right.
Right.
You
Exactly.
can't. I mean, cherry picking is a great way to live your life and not, harm people. That doesn't mean you're following the religion like it's laid out for you to follow.
Right. I mean, cherry picking makes sense if you don't believe that this is the word of God, and in that sense,
Right.
you're an atheist, right? You could cherry pick
Right.
whatever you want. You could cherry pick from all religions, and you don't have to
Right.
feel like a hypocrite because it's not divine.
Right. I mean, what sense does it make to pull away from what you want out of it? It doesn't make sense to me.
Right. And I think in a sense it's helping the religion, a harmful religion, live longer, because a lot of
It sure is.
non-Muslims are backing off attacking it because they see like, well, there's hope for this. So it's making a disease spread more by giving it a paint job, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And
What
I wish I could say that no, that's not, I don't feel that way, but I do.
Right. That's
what was the sorry, Armin, what
no.
were you saying?
I'm just so happy with, with how this turned out. Like,
Yeah. No,
you, yeah.
what was the hardest thing to let go of? Because
Oh, good question.
like I'll tell you, for me, I mean, you read the book, so for me,
Mhm.
I talk about the hardest thing to let go of was the idea of no afterlife, never meeting my dad again. You know, all of that. That's the stuff that really messed with me the most. That made me want to cling on for as long as I can. What was it for you?
Um, they're really, the hardest part of the whole process, honestly, was letting go of Jesus the first round, just jumping to Islam, because Jesus was number one for 35 years, and that's how I lived my life. And so the hardest part was jumping from Jesus is my savior to Islam. As far as going from Islam to atheism, I guess maybe probably being able to see others again in the afterlife. But honestly, the thought of not having a heaven or a hell just felt more like a relief than anything.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can't say that I've had a whole lot of, I don't know any negative feelings that I've had since dropping it all. It was just a relief. I haven't missed any of it.
Liberating.
Yes, absolutely. I'm okay walking away. It's
Yeah,
I'm not sad about any of it.
it's hard to be.
I'm
Yeah.
I'm sad. Here's the one regret. The only regret. I hate that it hurts people. I hate that it hurts my family and my friends that still believe. That's the hard part. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to be sad that you're not gonna see people if most of them, according to your religion, are gonna be in hell, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like a lot of people are like, when my mom died, told me like, "Aren't you sad that you're not gonna see your mom ever again?" Yeah, I'm very sad that I'm not gonna see her again, but I'm really happy that there's no afterlife, because based on your ideology, she would be burning right now, right? Like, and based
Right.
on your like the Islam, if you as Islam was true, like your family will also be in hell once they die, right?
Right.
So there's
Yeah.
not that much missing going on, because you wouldn't have been see. If you did see them ever again, it would be because you were being tortured next to them, and you would be seeing them
Right.
screaming.
Right. It was, yeah, none of it was fun to picture.
Right.
It was all awful.
Yeah. People keep saying like, "Oh, but how pointless is life without an afterlife?" They keep talking about it as if it's just heaven, right? Like it comes with a
Right.
package. Most people are going to be burning based on every religion. It's just insane.
And I don't know. I'm just the thought of just being able to, I mean, like I'm 40. So, planning retirement is stressful enough without having to plan eternity too. I mean, like, God, I mean, it was just it's stressful.
That's the best.
That's a great quote. That should be a meme. We should quote that. That's beautiful. That's great.
Yeah.
Somebody meme that. Put Erin's name on it. That's amazing.
And
And
so
Islam
how
is
is this,
my methadone.
Islam is fun. I actually love that analogy.
Yeah, yeah.
You went from heroin to okay, I got to do methadone, and then after the methadone, like okay, now I'm clean. How's your
One last thing before I ask, like people say life becomes pointless, isn't it the exact opposite? Wouldn't every goddamn
Exact opposite.
every second become so much more important and valuable if there's no
Yeah, yeah.
afterlife?
It's like I can do this and I got to do that. And
Yeah.
now I got to jump off a building. And yeah, like, I mean, like you just want to do everything because this
Right.
is all you got.
Exactly. Ali, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I no, I was going to ask about your husband, your kids. They've been with you on this journey. You're obviously living there and everything. So how have they been processing all of this? How have they been towards you? And where are they at? Has it influenced them in any way?
My husband has always been an agnostic anyway. So he's pretty stinking
Oh,
happy right now.
Really?
Yeah.
all right. Well,
Yeah. He's
good.
loving life about now. So,
Nice.
and my kids, I never raised them that they had to believe what I believed anyway. I always told them to, the information is out there. Find out what you believe. Don't listen to what somebody else is telling you, even me.
Wow.
So, I have two that are agnostic already, or they were an agnostic before I was, and the other two, they're autistic. They listen. They want to know all about it, but their opinions are a little different about it anyway. But the two that are really deep thinkers and are into all this, they're agnostic too. So basically, I was the last one to jump on board with it all.
Wow. Happy
No,
atheist
I mean,
family.
it's a.
You're a happy atheist family.
Yeah.
This
And
is
I asked my husband, I was like, why did you let me go so long
Ooh.
without sitting me down and telling me this is ridiculous. This is what it is. I said, maybe I would have listened. And he was like, no, you wouldn't have. No, you had. He was like, it was such a part of you, babe, that you had to go through this process yourself. You had to do
he's
this.
yeah. That's absolutely so. My wife has a very similar story where her father has always been an atheist,
Hmm.
and he grew up. He lives in Pakistan, right? So he's kind of closeted. Like he
Hmm.
talks to us about it, but he doesn't really. He's not open about it. But so when 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 she grew up being like they're part of this very sort of liberal Muslim sect called Ismailis, the Ismaili
Hmm.
Shias, and so she was always sort of like spiritual, a little religious. And then one day when she realized that it was all not true, she went to him and she told him, she's like, Dad, this is not true. And he's like, yeah, I know. She's like, well, why didn't you tell me? And he said the same thing. He's like, no, I knew you'd get to it yourself.
Well,
I just kind of
see,
nudged you along. I couldn't have done it directly and told you.
nobody told me. They didn't tell me that that's exactly what they believed. I kind of had hints that that's where they were leaning, but I think they were just trying to let me process all of this on my own without influencing anything.
By the
I
way,
just think
What
that's
do you think, having been, sorry, Armin, 1 second.
no worries.
If you were back when you were a devout Christian or even, a devout Muslim for the last year or so, what is it that someone, because again, your husband said that he couldn't, you wouldn't have listened, but in retrospect, what do you think, knowing yourself then, could have been something that he could have done or somebody else could have done um, to bring you here sooner than you eventually did?
okay. So
Is there anything that would have gotten
I've
through?
thought about this a lot because I feel like at some point somebody should have been able to get through to me before 40 years old. And I think the situation is that the people that are really, really kind that are atheists aren't going to push any information on you. So you don't get that information from kind people. The people that are hateful atheists, because I know a lot of hateful atheists that I have met a lot of hateful atheists that that thought I was so stupid they wouldn't take the time to have those discussions with me and explain anything to me. So it was either really nice atheists that didn't want to influence me in any way and let me figure that out for myself, or really hateful atheists that had the information that didn't want to tell me because they didn't want to fool with me. So somebody, we have to be nice and give the information. We have to blend the two.
Okay, I agree with being nice to people, but when I'm talking about the religion without actually directly talking to somebody, I don't hold back, right?
No, I
But
don't think, no.
yeah.
And I'm the same way. Like,
Right.
I've started to make Jesus jokes, and I'm like, I'm making Jesus jokes. Like, like I can't believe it. Like, yeah, I mean, you gotta make fun of the religion, but don't be nice to people. You
Yeah,
know, I
people.
mean, we're all just trying to figure stuff out.
I
Exactly.
think
Oh,
that's the idea. I mean,
another
we
meme,
were, if you
another
would,
great quote by you. Like, be nice to people. Make fun of the religion, but be nice to people. We're all just trying to figure this out. Perfect
Yeah.
quote.
that's I think that's I think what happens is that when you were here last, this is the thing. If you had gone through, if all you knew about Armin was through his Twitter feed, and well, I mean, our let me put it this way: our last episode was called "Is Armin a Nazi Sympathizer?"
Uh-huh.
Because so many people out there think that he's a Nazi or he wants to kill all Muslims or whatever, that
Yeah.
they tend to,
What?
that's what their impression is. But when he was with you one on one, and you were telling us that, okay, yeah, you believe that, this is the punishment it should be for us, like completely different people, because we're not talking about ideas, we're talking to human beings. When
Yeah.
I'm talking to you, I'm not just talking about some ideology I have that I want to convince you of, but I'm looking at you in the context of your experience. I'm looking at you as a victim of indoctrination, as somebody who is going through something that is not your fault, not your doing,
Right. Right.
somebody who has a higher battle to fight, being
Mm.
raised fundamentalist, that even I had as a Muslim growing up in Saudi
Mm.
Arabia, because my parents were not that. They tended to be more liberal. So in a way, you had it much tougher than I did, way tougher than I did when you were growing up, and what you had to deal with. So, like, those are things that I don't think you can really. Every person, right, has their own context, and
Hmm.
you have to address them and speak to them in that way, and really ask questions and listen.
And
And that's why, yeah.
you guys kind of came. I was introduced to you guys. Here, I'll do my shout out now. We didn't do it last time. Josh Johnson, my buddy Josh.
Yes.
He's the one that introduced me to you guys and to this
We
show and
love
everything.
Josh
Yeah.
Johnson. Yeah.
And but I got to tell you, um, it took about 6 months of he and I talking for me to get to this place. And we have gotten in arguments, and we have highly disagreed with each other about things. But he was really kind about it, and he hung in there, and he kept informing me in the right way. Now, sometimes he got a little, but we could butt heads occasionally. But you got to hang in there with people if they mean something to you, because they're not gonna take this truth the first time you give it.
Mm.
It's you're up against too much. You really have to hang in there with people and listen to their stupid make believe stories if you want them to believe the truth.
Right. Yeah. And we, by the way, we
Yeah.
all have some stupid make believe stories that we believe in. Like, it hasn't, Erin, it hasn't ended for you. It hasn't ended for me. It hasn't ended for Ali. Like, a lot of atheists think like, okay, I know the
Oh
truth
no,
now.
it's ended for me.
No, it's
I'm
like a
done.
lot of atheists think like,
I
oh,
don't have any stupid make-believe
you
stuff.
okay. Other than
Yeah.
Ali, the rest of us still have stupid beliefs. Okay, like, if we learn one thing from losing faith in God, is that there must be other things in there. Okay,
Mm.
there's no way, unless you're Ali Rizvi, there's no way that we don't have some other beliefs in there that are absolutely ridiculously stupid. So we have to constantly look for those and wonder what they are. We don't know what they are, because
Yeah.
if we knew, we wouldn't believe in them. But we have to constantly be looking for them. I do want to try to
Yeah.
change your mind on something, though, Aaron. If Try to change your mind on something, okay? You say
Okay.
that you're, even though you're agnostic atheist, you're more comfortable with the word agnostic, okay? I want to
Yeah.
tell you why would, if you ever get comfortable with it, for the sake of other atheists around the world who are constantly being demonized, tortured, imprisoned, killed, abandoned by their families, looked down upon, ostracized, for the sake of normalization of atheism, because people do not look at agnostics, people who call themselves agnostic, it's not demonized the way atheism is demonized. For the
Right.
sake of normalizing it, consider being openly an atheist. Just consider it.
Okay.
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 Ali, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, we were talking about the Majid Nawaz and Irshad Manji
Mm-hmm.
thing, and this is a conversation that we have a lot. And this is one of the Armin and I are pretty much aligned on reform, in which
Mm-hmm.
we don't really think it's very useful in
Mm-hmm.
any other sense. But I do think that for some people, it can be a stepping stone. It can be their methadone in a way,
Sure.
from Islam to come down to get to this point.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that that stage was necessary for you to go through, or do you think that you would have gotten here without that?
I would have probably eventually gotten here, but yeah, I think it was a necessary step. Yeah. I mean, even if I didn't speak it, I think your brain goes through that process. You know what I'm saying? Like your brain goes through the process of, I'm not okay with this part of this religion. I'm not okay with this. And I think before you step away, you try in your mind to reform it anyway, whether you say you're part of a reform or not. I think that's just a part of what we do.
That's actually an excellent point. That's actually one of the most insightful things that I've heard about this process, because I mean, when you read my book, you saw that I went through that whole thing. I went through
Right.
that entire trying to justify things, interpret the verses in certain ways, getting rid of all the hadith, and just even finding verses in the Quran that are anti-hadith, right? So I
Right.
can find an excuse to get rid of it. And that, to me, I think it was a necessary stage. I guess you would call it reform, but at that time there was no Majid
It's not
Nawaz,
a
there was no
necessary
Irshad
stage,
Manji.
guys. It's not a
It's not. I don't think it's necessary.
It's not necessary, but
Like,
I think it is common. I think that's what we
It
do.
is common.
I
It is
mean,
common,
yeah.
but we have to be careful. But just because it's common, does a lot of people think that it could serve as a stepping stone? It's not. It's a trap. Just because you guys got out of it, that doesn't mean it doesn't work like a trap for most people. If that wasn't there, you two would have become atheists anyways. But you went through a trap and you saved yourself from the trap. If that, for most people, they go through that trap, like they see that Islam is wrong and they can't get out of Islam because of that trap that exists there that keeps them stuck to Islam because of this reform trap that exists, right? Just because
For a lot of them, it does.
Just because you two freed yourself from a trap doesn't mean it doesn't work on other people. Without this
So-
trap, you two would have still been able to leave Islam.
That this is something that I think would be a good study to do for people who do study this kind of thing, because I've noticed, and this is anecdotal, but I have corresponded with so many, like thousands and thousands of people who've been through this process of leaving Islam. And I've noticed that people who tend to be very fundamentalist and very hardcore, when they leave, they don't go through a reform stage. They're in one place, and then the next they're
Because
in
they
another.
respect the truth.
You know?
This is what I respect about the fundamentalists. Okay?
Not.
They want
I don't think
the
it's
truth.
that they. No, they don't respect the truth. They respect consistency. Okay, so I mean, you're right, Armin. I know
The
what you're trying to
truth is
say,
consistent.
but obviously that stuff is not the truth. They respect consistency.
No, I'm
they
not
need
saying
to
what they
be
believe is truth, but they think it's the truth. They want
Right,
to
right.
live by the truth. They got the conclusion wrong, but they're following it because they think it's the truth. They're not trying to fool themselves. They have managed to fool themselves, but they're not trying to fool themselves. But go on, sorry.
We're saying the same thing, but let me just explain why I think consistency is a better word to describe it. Is because when they are in the religion and they see the scripture, they think, well, this is the infallible word of God. I got to believe all of it. They have to be fully fundamentalist, and they have to take it literally to the word, because they need to stay cognitively consistent. They can't deal with the compartmentalization. And then what happens is when they leave and then they realize that this is not true. They realize that it's not true. It's like if you have a turd in a swimming pool, right? You're not going to jump in. Like that's
Right.
that's a Bill Maher analogy. But that's what they think. So if one thing is wrong, it doesn't sit well with me, or if I find this one error that I just can't reconcile, then the whole thing has to be discarded. And they're right about that. On the other hand, people like me who were sort of raised, we had the privilege of being raised in more sort of moderate households that were cherry picking this stuff anyway, and where Muslim was as much an identity as Islam was a belief. Right? When we're going through the process, then we do sort of hedge. We go a little back and forth, and most people from backgrounds like mine that I have met, in fact, I think all of them have gone through this middle process. We call it reform now because of all of the reformers, but at that time when we were going through it, there was no such thing. Nobody really heard of reform. When you thought of reform, you thought about the Wahhabism. You didn't think of this, a Majid or Shah, right? And so I think that this is something that's interesting that people should look at. One person I want to mention, one of our previous guests on the show, Phil Zuckerman, wrote about it, and I think I quote him quite a bit on this. I've mentioned it on the show before, where he talks about. Hold on, let me just finish this and say this once more.
How much longer are you gonna go? Okay, go on.
Oh my God! I barely I've been listening to you, Armin.
I know,
but he talked about
faster.
mild apostasy, which is the kind of thing that I went through, where you go through that phase, and transformative apostasy, which is something that someone like Yasmin Mohammed went through, or Ayaan Hirsi Ali went through, where they just went from one thing to the next, and they have different phenotypes. They just work very, very differently. So I just think it's really interesting to see what the process is.
So what you call consistency is one of the major signs of the truth. They're looking for consistency because that's how you recognize what is true.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the same thing.
Armin, you're still trying to prove your true point. We're saying the same thing, Armin.
That's what I'm
saying.
I'm making the point that we're the same thing. That's my point.
Okay,
that we're
all right.
saying
Okay, I got it.
That was
Armin just wants to be consistent.
He just wants to be he just wants to tell the truth.
He wants to be consistent. Yeah. So anyway, I think we've got about 20 minutes. Let's just go to some of the patron comments.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, guys. Ali's connection
they spark a lot more discussion than the questions.
Ali, your connection is chopping in and out, but it's okay now.
Yeah, I know. I apologize for that. I have moved to a new place, and they said that they can't rewire the system here.
It's just now, but it's fine now.
Okay. All right. It'll be okay in a month.
Okay.
So Omema is here. Omema, previous guest, also came from. Well,
it was great.
Yeah, and Omema's a complete rock star. She came from a Salafi background.
Yeah.
One of the most articulate people I know. I was listening to her, and I was thinking while she was talking, I was listening to the wisdom of somebody who's at least 50-something, and it turns out that she's really, really young. So just a completely brilliant person who's totally out of her time. Omema saying, "Hi guys, so glad I can catch this one. Technically, I'm working from home, but I can multitask, right? So thanks to the COVID-19 the pandemic,
yes.
Everybody is
got us
quarantined.
A full house.
So
yeah,
we've got more of an audience for this podcast." And she's saying she's very curious.
Patreon is being glitchy right now, and that's why sometimes when I post a Patreon on Patreon, if the video is not working, the link to the video will be in the description of the Patreon post. Okay, so if you guys go to the Patreon post and you say, "Hey, the video is not playing," check the description. There will be a link there. But go on, Ali. Okay.
So I remember saying that she's always very curious about women converting into Islam, as it seems completely counterintuitive. And yes, so remember, I think you should hear the last episode.
For everybody, not just women. Islam is not just anti-woman. Islam is anti-human. So if you're a living being, then converting to Islam is counterintuitive. But go on, sorry.
Yeah, and I would say that about all the religions, at least all the Abrahamic religions. I mean, they're just very anti-humanity.
No, not just the Abrahamic one. Every single one of them. But go on, sorry, Erin.
Every single one of them. Okay, we're just one-upping each other today. Islam is terrible. No, all of them, all the Abrahamic ones are bad. No, fuck, it's more than all of them. I love it.
Okay. All right, good. All right.
We're just being consistent, Armin.
Right. Yes. Truthful.
So there's
No,
another.
Erin
Oh no,
didn't get
that's
it.
me.
Didn't.
So
Obviously,
she didn't catch the last one, though, did she?
No, not the last episode. Yeah, you already responded to that.
Ajfazi seems a little. Yeah, so he's saying, "What is so stunning about this conversion? What is so stunning about it?" So he's, I guess, we have a skeptic in the thing. He's like, "Oh, it's a big deal. You went through all this. Who cares?"
Well, and you know what? You know what? I'm okay with that because I've had people talk to me that way, and they're like, "Yeah, so what?" I mean, and that's okay. They can feel that way. There's not a lot of people that convert to Islam after 35 years of Christianity and then walk away from all of it, because I tried to find them. I was trying to find people that were going through the same thing that I was going through, and I couldn't find it. I'm sure they're there, but
yeah,
for me, it was my whole life. It was a really big deal. It doesn't have to be a big deal to him, though.
Yeah, but
it is. Well, I mean,
I don't
it's
know
a
if
position of privilege. What he's saying is, Armin, one second. What he's saying is he's speaking from a privileged position in the sense that, oh, I never had to do that. Because he probably, people don't know what it's like. Like Nathan Phelps, the son of Fred Phelps, right? Who's a good friend. Fred Phelps was the founder of the Westboro Baptist Church. Like when he talks about what he went through and how his father would quote the Bible while he was whipping the kids, and how they grew up.
I think if I had come on here and told some details about my childhood and growing up in fundamentalist Christianity, it would be more of a stunning story. But
no,
I don't owe anybody those details right now. So
I honestly,
this is a pretty stunning story.
Ali, wait.
Yeah.
I don't I honestly think. First of all, what you find stunning is just people's personal, subjective feelings about stories. The reason why I find it stunning, for anybody, even not just somebody that went through a fundamentalist, religious extreme situation. But you have the real world, and then we have our perception of the world, right? What happens when you change your religion or you abandon religion? The perception of the world to you is your world. So to me, it's very much like the whole world falling apart and rebuilding itself into a new vision, right? That is the closest thing, as if it's the skies, or like imagine if you think God is real, Jesus was real, Muhammad, did this, and there's a heaven and there's a hell. If you all of a sudden all of that goes away, the entire understanding of how everything is, who you are, what you're meant to do, how the world works, all of that comes breaking down. That's
all of it's different.
All of it is different. It's very much like the sky is falling. It very much feels like the sky is falling, right? And I don't know if people have experienced that, but to me, that's what it felt like. To me, it's to me, when I see somebody going through that experience, it reminds me of all those feelings. And to me, I relive that experience through them when they're telling me their stories.
Yeah, I heard an atheist girl. She's an author. She was talking about she compiled some essays. Have you heard of Empty the Pews? The book Empty the Pews. Okay, so one of those authors, she was talking about how she was so glad that she compiled and all those essays and spoke to everybody, because that was not her experience. When she left, it was different than the experiences that she was talking about and writing about. And she talked about how important it was to listen to the stories of people that their whole life has been wrapped up in this and now it's gone. She was talking about how important it is for us to be open and to listen to those people, because it's everything. Like I said, if you are a devout religious person, then your entire life, every single aspect has changed once you walk away from that. And that is huge.
Right. By the way,
Yeah.
just to be clarifying,
So
Omaya is clarifying that what he meant was like he is only asking because he doesn't know the story. He was just basically asking what's the
Oh,
story. So he wasn't making it. He
oh,
wasn't
okay.
being he was genuinely asking what's stunning about it. Like you
well,
wanted
it's
to know.
okay. I wasn't
Okay,
mad
then.
anyway.
Yeah, then yeah, our apologies. In that case, yeah, do go check out the previous episode with
Right.
when Erin actually talks about what brought her here. Susanna is saying, "Oh my God, Erin, you look stunning." Oh my God, what a sexist comment! That is terrible, Erin. My apology on behalf of Susanna. How dare anybody compliment you on your looks? Don't you know that Erin wants to be appreciated for her personality and her.
I know, my brains.
Yeah, let me just speak on behalf of you as a man.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
As a,
That
yeah,
helps too.
anytime. But there you go. So there's a
Thank you,
thing.
Susanna.
Bogey is reminding us to say to not touch our faces. He's saying don't touch your face, and that's
I'm at
true.
home, man. I'm fine.
I know. I do. Yeah, that's why I touch my face so much. I don't
Mm-hmm.
Can I
I
not
never
touch
didn't
my
even
face
realize.
as soon as I get home I wash my hands? Can I not touch my face? I think I'm fine if I wash. Somebody tell me if I'm not supposed to touch
Yeah,
my
I
face.
think.
I think I'm fine. I'm sure.
Yeah, I think you're okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, yes, Suzanne also said that she loves your southern accent because
Ah.
it reminds her of her grandma.
Aw.
So there you go. Um, then, yeah, Arcgen, this is the same person. He's asking for her first appearance on the pod,
So,
and so we'll
Mike,
actually post a link to that.
Mike, thank you, Mike, for posting the link. I'll put it in the
Huh.
Yeah.
description as well. Ali, you should have put it in the
Okay.
description that you sent me.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think of it. I just assumed that everybody heard it, but I'm really glad we're finding out that it didn't because
Yeah.
apparently that's going to get even more listens than it did before. So Jeremy Frank is saying this was about our discussion of God and the higher power, deism, and so on. So he's saying,
Mhm.
I think we need to separate the idea of God from higher power. Higher power is general, God is specific. At least that's the way I think we should look at it. And
Fair enough, but they're both
yeah,
bullshit.
huh?
That's fair. Okay, so higher power enough, it does not fit the definition of God. For you to fit the definition of the most general understanding of the definition of God, you have to be a conscious creator of the universe. Okay? The conscious, even if you're not, for most gods, they're also managing it after the creation, but for deistic gods, they're just creator and they're not managing it after. So the most general definition of a god would be the conscious creator of the universe. So if you believe in a higher power that didn't create a universe or is not conscious, technically your higher power is not God, but it's still nonsense.
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
there's no way to. It's. I don't like to call it all nonsense to people, but I mean, you can't prove any of it, and it's all.
Well,
It's all
Nonsense.
pretty nonsensical.
yeah. Well, yeah,
I
that's the
would.
definition of a nonsense. But our live chat is not a religious people, so that's why I'm like our live chat. If I was talking to a Muslim or a Christian, I wouldn't tell them like, "Oh yeah, what you believe in is nonsense," right? But
Yeah.
our audience is a bunch of heathen heretics.
So what I would do is I actually, this is Armin, you're going to hate me for this, but just a minor disagreement here with Armin is that I don't even think it's a conscious thing. I think it's a matter of an intervening or a personal God. So if you have, for instance, you have a God, you can have a deistic God, or you can have the God, whatever we have out there, the higher intelligence that we don't know about, may have some level of consciousness or self-awareness. I have no idea. There's no way to tell. But the good thing about the word theism and atheism is that theism doesn't just mean belief in God. It means belief in a personal God that intervenes, that blesses your marriage and listens to your prayers and then answers them and all of that other stuff. Sends you to hell, sends you to heaven. So that kind of God.
But
So
why is the other
atheism is
God
basically.
fine? The other God is
One
not
second, let me
fine.
finish. Atheism is rejection of a personal intervening God. So that means that if you're a deist or if you're a Buddhist, you're still an atheist.
You've still been atheist.
Not,
You're still an
no,
atheist.
no, okay, no, but whatever semantics you want to use, that's fine. But that God, that other God that is not intervening is horseshit as well, right? You
That
believe
is not intervening.
yeah, it's horseshit. Like
I well, if you're talking about a deistic God, then I would agree with you. But if you're talking about a pantheistic thing, I don't think that's totally horseshit.
Of
I have
course,
no idea.
pantheistic God is not horseshit. Of course, it's not horseshit. I believe in the pantheistic God. That's pantheistic God is just relabeling things as God, that things that already exist. That's not any.
Right.
That's pantheism is just like atheism, but using terminology wrong. That's
Completely agree with you.
Right.
The only thing that I wouldn't commit to saying is that whatever that pantheon, the laws of nature, the laws of physics, all the fine tuning, that there is no higher level of consciousness. That's the only thing I'm saying. I'm not talking about Deepak Chopra, collective consciousness.
Okay, sorry, Erin. Sorry,
I'm talking.
Consciousness. It's easy to make the conclusion that consciousness could not have existed before anything else, because consciousness is complicated. The directions of things in the universe goes from simple to complicated. Consciousness is one of the most complicated things that you come up with. It just makes no sense to just add to explain how simple. Oh, we don't know how these things came to be. It's too complicated. We don't understand. How do we explain it? Add the most complicated thing you could think of to explain things, which is consciousness. I solved the problem by making it even more complicated.
I think that now we're going to get into a semantic discussion
Right.
about what complicated means, because
Right.
quantum mechanics is very complicated.
That would be let's do that in one of our live stream, because we're taking the show away from Erin.
Quantum mechanics has been around for a very long time, and it's a very
Wait, are
it's
you
more
seriously saying
it's so complicated we don't understand it.
Wait, are you doing
Okay,
a Deepak Chopra thing?
I'm not.
Okay.
Armin.
Yes. Question.
Armin.
Go
Okay,
read the comment.
Sorry. I have to do this now. Are you Armin? The Higgs boson, subatomic particles, quantum mechanics, how time exists in the quantum world. That has been around since the beginning of the universe, Armin.
Yeah,
when things were supposedly very simple, which they were not. So you can't say that things got more and more complicated with time. It's not necessarily that they just got complicated different ways. We're discovering new things.
Just because things were complicated before, that doesn't mean they didn't get more complicated after. Anyways,
I don't know. I'm not but that is a very far cry from Deepak Chopra. I'm talking about stuff that we know, that we know scientifically.
Man, nerd fights are fun.
I know.
This
is what you thought, that there was no sectarianism and no war after religion. Well, here you go. We're about to lead our armies into war right now.
Yes. Anyways,
on ideological differences. Okay, so so Mars is saying it's worse when you indoctrinate children with this crap. Yes. I read a book of Bible stories when I was a kid, and the stuff they taught for youngsters was horrific. It is the whole idea of hell. I mean, what you were talking about, Erin. I mean, do you recall when you were a kid and you were being taught about hell, how you processed it?
Yeah, it was devastating. I mean, I immediately was just scared for everybody. I was terrified for everybody.
Yeah.
I wanted to save the world at that point. They got me. You tell me everybody's going to burn, and I was just mortified.
Yeah. So Ulrich is saying, I know as surely as there is no God, that there is no God, as surely as I surely know that there are no fairies at the bottom of Arthur Conan Doyle's garden. I agree with that. That's a thing. It's the degree of confidence is pretty high. Anne is saying, Erin, I'm so glad it's been a relief for you. I have a lot of respect for you for taking on this journey, though. That takes a lot of courage. So
thank you.
I think we all agree with that too.
Susanna.
Mars is saying, pretty sure the 401k doesn't apply to the afterlife. I don't know what the context is, but that's
it's been because Erin was saying that.
That was when I said I didn't want to
plan her retirement.
Oh yeah,
planning
retirement. Yeah, that's right. I remember. Suzanne is. Oh my God, Susanna! I think she has a bit of a crush on you. Please tell Erin that her smile shines through the screen. She seems so much lighter. She's glowing. Susanna, by the way, will be on the show. So,
that's awesome.
Susanna, I did email you. Just check your email and see if we can set something up. I emailed you after a while, so sorry about the delay.
She's an ex-woke cultist?
It's sort of. I think it's a little more complicated than that, Armin. But yeah, but that's pretty much how it is.
Very funny. But go on.
Judy Flattery. Hey, Judy. Superstition is only a superstition when it's not a superstition. It's only a superstition when we really think that something false is actually true. Superstition is only. Now we're all thinking about it.
I know. I'm trying to process this.
We're not as smart as you. We don't know what that means. Explain it to us. Right.
Okay, so hold on. I skipped ahead. Aldrich is saying that David Silverman is right to say talking people out of religion is doing them a favor. That requires honesty about what religion is, even if it might initially hurt the religious person's feelings. And yeah, we agree with that.
Yeah.
Right? When you speak truthfully, then
I've been
it is going to hurt people's feelings.
I've been watching the Street Epistemology too. I've enjoyed that.
Nice.
Yeah. The way he communicates with people is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Omema is saying, I think she was talking about that conversation we were having, Armin. That was me as a fundamentalist. Consistency is a good way of describing it, like the idea of going from one thing to the other.
Right.
So,
by the way, I'm going to forget this, so Ali, I'm going to say it now. Before we end the show, ask where we can find your Erin's autism blog for people who are interested. And also, send us a link so we could put it in the description of the show.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's move on. Josh is in the house.
What's up, Josh?
Josh is saying, by truth, of course, means looking for literalism, not allegory. Okay, so that's about something else. So he said that converting to Islam from Christianity in Tennessee is actually quite stunning. That dude can take a seat. No, he's talking about the other guy.
Yeah.
It was stunning. Yeah, you are in Tennessee. You actually talked about that last time, about how you wore the hijab and went out. And
mm-hmm.
Do you think in Tennessee it's probably harder to be a Muslim in Tennessee than it is to be an atheist, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially for women because it's very visible.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Omema is saying, so glad that Erin made it out. She has so much to offer this world, which would have been brutally suppressed by religion. So, hey, you've got a new family out here, it seems. I was very happy that you're with them.
Consider joining ex-Muslims of North America, Erin. You might like it.
I joined a Facebook group. I mean, is there another process that I need to go through?
Oh, yeah, because they have local meetings.
They have local meetings? Okay.
Yeah, it might be fun to hang out with them. I don't know.
Might be.
Yeah, so a comment from Josh is you look 10 times more relaxed, Erin, in this episode than the last.
Yeah.
Yes, no quotations and relaxed. And then Omema has a question for you. She's saying, are there any particular life experiences that you are increasingly grateful for? Anything that you're looking forward to trying?
Wow. Like in general, or like because I gave up religion?
Because I think you gave up religion.
I think, yeah.
You know, I really lived my life pretty openly anyway. I can't say that there's anything I'm looking forward to because of that. I am just being way more proactive about getting the most out of every single day now. I just really want to live my life to the fullest and to teach my kids to do the same thing, because this is all we have and we need to make an impact. We need to, I have been making sure that I am every bit as charitable as I am as an atheist as I was as a Christian or a Muslim. I think we need to be seen as charitable too. That's just not a church job.
Yeah. Why is that important to you?
Well, people have always been important to me. I've always been one that wanted to take care of other people and help other people. I think that's probably what drew me to God in the first place, was that he loved people, and he was about love and taking care of each other. And I think it's we have to depend on each other, especially right now. Think about everything that's going on right now. And by the way, what a time to become an atheist when the world is going through like oh.
Yeah.
But I mean, we need each other, and we need to realize that we need each other more than when we're all just there's a pandemic. I mean, like, I just think we need to be more aware of taking care of one another.
Right. I always say people's gods are a reflection of them rather than the other way around. So say God created man in his image, it's the other way around. People make their gods in their own image. So
you're right.
So the reason why your God was such a loving God, because you were always such a loving person. So it was always you.
Well, always is a stretch, but
well, yeah. But
so
for all the time that your God was that loving, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, when people have vengeful gods, when people have angry gods, when people have loving gods, it's usually just a mirror of them. It's just usually a reflection of who they want.
It's projection on God, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Mars is saying, oh my God, it's going to drive me crazy. Saying you could say something about the metaphorical substrate of the universe, Ali. He's quoting Jordan Peterson.
Yes.
He's I have to say, Mars. Listen, hear me out.
No, don't hear him. You're right.
Armin,
Ali, you're going.
I can't mute Armin.
No, you can't.
Huh?
You can't. No, Ali is the Jordan Peterson of atheism. But go on.
I was talking about two different things. Right. I was talking about quantum mechanics and quantum, which has been around since the beginning of time, and how there is a level of complexity to it. I was not ascribing consciousness to quantum particles. That's not what I was doing. Consciousness is a separate conversation where I think it's still a mystery, which it is, and Armin had a different claim to make about it. We should not have spoken about those two things so close to each other. So I understand the Deepak Chopra, Jordan Peterson thing.
Deepak as well.
But I am very happy about the fact that people are associating Jordan Peterson with Deepak Chopra, which I've been trying to talk about for a very long time. It was the first person he reminded me of, so I'm glad that's caught on. So anyway, yeah, I think that's
no. Susanna saying, Susanna, say something. For the record, you see that? Read that one.
Yeah, I do. Oh, you're asking me to say. So she's saying she's going to watch her episode. She's going to watch Omema's episode later. And she's saying, I can't help it. Erin is so clearly a sweetheart.
No,
I express myself through words of appreciation.
Above it. It's funny. Read the comment before her.
Oh, right. For the record, I am platonically complimenting Erin. I apologize if I made you uncomfortable.
We're just joking, Susanna. We're joking.
You didn't.
I think she knows we're joking. We're just having fun over here. And Omema, one last comment here. So Omema said that my mom told me that fear of hell affected me particularly because I was obsessive about it. Not much sympathy there.
It almost killed
me. There. Yeah, Armin. Do you know about Armin? I don't know if you know about Armin's story, Erin, but
yes, I do. I read your book too.
Almost.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Fear of hell is actually when Richard Dawkins says that it's child abuse. Like he's absolutely right. Absolutely right.
It is child abuse. We didn't mention Erin also read my book, but you read it when you were already an atheist, right?
What's that?
Did you read my book after you became an atheist or before you became an atheist?
Before. You had a hand in it.
I did?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
This is so cute. Like Armin's smile and his sense of I think it's amazing. So
it's an honor to have that. You had a lot of influence on us as well, by the way.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, you did.
Absolutely.
A lot.
So tell us about your autism blog. I know you talked about this briefly last time, but if you can just talk about it now and tell us where people can find it and read about it.
Well, it's I always crack up when I say this out loud rather than typing it. It's Mutha, Mutha, Mother, like
Yeah.
mother, but mother loving autism.
Mm.
So
I
that's
like
why
it.
it's hard to say but it's Mutha
Mm.
and loving without the G in your apostrophe and
Yeah.
autism. Yeah.
Autism.
So you can find me
Yeah,
on
that's
Facebook.
exactly the way I thought.
You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me. I have a WordPress. So
Will you
Yeah,
ever do
I am
podcasts or
going
anything
to.
with your blog or YouTube
no, not
videos?
on mine. I mean, I've been a guest on some things, and I think we had talked about last time. I went viral over some stuff
Yeah, yeah.
that I was a guest on some shows and some radio, but no, not on my own. I don't do them.
Consider doing a YouTube channel because you're so people love you when they listen to you speak. And yeah, so it might
Well, thank you.
if you're interested in that. It's
Okay.
easy. Yeah. It's
Okay,
easy
that's
if you don't do live. My God, if once you're going to do live and you want to do schedule
Right,
with
right, right.
guests, that gets complicated. Like if you want to do Patreon and live streaming and scheduling and OBS and Streamlabs and I don't know all of that, that's that's good. That's gonna. But if you want to just do like, hey, YouTube
Like
channel.
pre-recorded YouTube stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just like look at your phone, talk about something, and then post it.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
5 minutes. Yeah.
okay. Well, thank you for Aaron for coming back. I mean,
Thanks
it's
for
always a
having
pleasure
me.
to have you here. And wow, what a story!
Yeah.
I
I
hope
hope we
again
have
your
you
journey
back.
is
Yeah.
just ongoing. I think there's a new chapter of it starting up now. So,
Yeah.
um, it's great. Next time we're down in Tennessee, as soon as they open up the border
Yes.
between Canada and the U.S., um, we should hang out. I think it'll be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'll plan a trip with Josh and see if we can come back down. That'll be kind
Yes.
of cool. And yeah, thank you. Thanks to all of our patrons here.
Yeah.
Susanna, looking forward to talking to you soon as well. Mike, Mars, Amema, Josh, obviously, Jeremy, Frank. I'm trying to mention as many people as we can.
Susanna is saying thanks
Judy
for.
Flattery, Ulrich,
Right.
and yeah, everybody else out there. Thank you for listening in. And we had a lot of people today, a lot of
Yeah,
patrons.
Susanna is
So
saying thanks for the great show, y'all. And also, if you're listening
yeah.
to this later, the audio format on a podcast, if you're you can join the live discussion and be part of the live chat and see the video version of these discussions if you're a patron. So if you're patron, if you're not, link is in the description to our Patreon account. Consider becoming a patron today so we can continue doing this.
Mhm.
And also, once we hit 500 patrons, remember guys, once we hit 500 patrons, we're going to start translating our most important shows to Arabic, Urdu, Malay, and some other languages, Persian maybe. And then if we keep growing, we might even translate some stuff to Spanish as well. But anyways, so that's about it. Thank you guys. Oh, Mike is saying thanks for the great content, guys. Great insights from all three of you. Oh, thank you, Mike. Oh no,
Thank you.
that was Jeremy. Mike is saying live long and
Mm.
prosper, like he always does. He's a
Yeah, it's us.
he always does. I love that. Baby.
All right, guys.
All right. Love you
Thank you
guys.
very
Bye.
much, and
Erin,
we'll
stay
see you guys
on.
next time.
Bye, guys.